All right, welcome to this deep dive. This one's going to be all about how to totally ace that Matrose interview. We're talking about a job that's definitely not your average 9 to 5. You're out there on the open water getting your hands dirty, and you got to make sure everything's running smooth. It's this super cool mix of physical work, knowing your stuff technically, and thinking fast on your feet.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what makes getting ready for this interview kind of different. You need more than just the right answers. You got to show you've got the toughness, the ability to roll with the punches, and the problem-solving chops to really make it out there.
We've got a bunch of RoleCatcher resources here that'll help us with all that. We've got some super insightful sample interview questions, career advice that's perfect for Matrose roles, and even info on how RoleCatcher's AI can help you nail those answers.
Sounds good to me. Let's jump in.
So the RoleCatcher Career Guide does a great job of laying out what a Matrose actually does day to day. And it's pretty diverse. You're steering, you're working on deck, handling cargo, even helping out in the engine room. It's not just about being strong. You got to be a real jack of all trades.
Oh, for sure. And we can't forget about the safety side of things. Matroses are the ones in charge when it comes to damage control, launching those life-saving things, and basically handling whatever gets thrown at them. Think of it like a first responder, but you're at sea.
That responsibility definitely adds a whole other level to the job. So why don't we get into some of these sample interview questions from RoleCatcher? They're a great way to see what the interviewer is really looking for.
I'm game. How about we kick things off with a classic one? Can you tell me about your experience working on a ship?
RoleCatcher's take on this one is that the interviewer wants to get a feel for how comfortable you are in that maritime world. It's not just about how long you've been on a boat. It's about how well you understand what it really takes to live and work on a ship.
Right. So think back to specific times that show off how you can adapt, work as a team, and solve problems. Like maybe a time when the sea got rough, or you had to work in a tight space, or maybe even fix a small equipment issue.
And speaking of fixing stuff, a follow-up question could be something like, tell me about a time you had to fix something up on deck. What was your process?
Bingo. They want to know about those practical skills you've got and how you think things through when stuff goes wrong. Oh, and remember, be specific. Don't just say, I fixed it. Tell them the steps you took and what you learned from it all.
And the career guide also makes a big deal about certifications, like first aid and boating safety. Having those on your resume shows you're all about safety and are serious about your career. It's a really good way to make yourself stand out.
Definitely. Okay, question 2. How do you handle multiple tasks at once when you're working on a ship?
Time management is key here. RoleCatcher suggests showing that you have a system, thinking about safety first, then how to keep things running efficiently, and of course, meeting those deadlines. It's a fast-paced world out there, so being organized is super important.
They're searching for someone who can think on their feet. So they might follow up with something like, imagine you've got a bunch of urgent tasks all at once. How would you decide which one to do first?
And you know what's really helpful here? RoleCatcher's AI. You can actually type in your answer to that question, and the AI looks it over and gives you feedback based on what Matrose roles really require. It helps you refine your answer and really highlight those key skills employers want.
It's like having your own personal interview coach, fine-tuning your answers to make sure you hit all the right points.
Exactly. Now, question 3 is all about safety. How do you make sure you and everyone else stay safe when you're working on a ship?
Now this one is crucial. Saying I follow the rules isn't going to cut it. You got to show you're proactive about safety, like you're always on the lookout. Talk about things like checking equipment regularly, spotting potential hazards, and making sure you're communicating clearly with your crewmates.
Right. They might ask, tell me about a time you saw a safety hazard. What'd you do about it?
Be ready to share a specific time. Tell them exactly what you did and what happened because of it. It's all about showing you're dedicated to keeping things safe at work.
Okay, question 4 throws a little curveball. It's more of a what-if situation. Describe a time you had to deal with a tough situation on a ship.
Okay, here's your chance to shine. Pick a story that shows off how well you solve problems, stay cool under pressure, and how committed you are to finding solutions. It could be anything from a mechanical problem to a sudden storm, or even a disagreement between crew members.
RoleCatcher says to focus on one specific incident and really walk the interviewer through how you thought things through and the actions you took. Don't be afraid to talk about the challenges you faced and how you overcame them.
You got it. And hey, it's okay to talk about mistakes you've made. As long as you highlight what you learned from them, it shows you're all about growing and getting better.
A follow-up they might ask is, what was the biggest lesson you learned from that experience?
Exactly. They're looking for someone who's self-aware and always looking to learn and improve.
All right, let's move on to question 5. How do you talk to other crew members while you're on a ship?
This one's all about teamwork and being a good communicator. Out there on a ship, you absolutely need to be clear and concise, especially when things get hectic.
RoleCatcher recommends highlighting how well you can get your point across in a way that's clear, to the point, and respectful, even when things are crazy. Think about specific times when you've used different ways to communicate, like verbal instructions, hand signals, or those written logs.
And they might throw in a follow-up like, tell me about a time when things went wrong because of bad communication. What did you do?
Oh, that's a good one. It lets you show off how you handle problems and learn from your mistakes.
And it ties in perfectly with what the career guide says about teamwork. Being a Matrose is all about working together smoothly, so showing off those communication skills is really important.
All right, on to question 6. How would you handle disagreements with other crew members?
You know, working in close quarters for long stretches can sometimes lead to a bit of friction. They want to know that you can deal with those conflicts in a way that's productive and professional without letting things get out of hand.
RoleCatcher's advice is to focus on your conflict resolution skills and how you maintain a positive work vibe. Explain how you approach conflict, emphasizing listening closely, understanding where the other person's coming from, and finding solutions that work for everyone.
A possible follow-up might be, tell me about a time you had a clash with a coworker. How did you work it out?
Again, be specific. Share a real-life situation that shows you can handle those tough conversations and find common ground.
And remember, it's not about playing the blame game. Focus on the positive steps you took to deal with the conflict and keep things running smoothly.
Okay, question 7 dives into what you know about the technical stuff. Can you tell me about your experience with navigation equipment?
Time to show off how well you know the tools of the trade. Be specific about the types of equipment you've worked with. GPS, radar, sonar, those electronic charting systems, the whole shebang.
RoleCatcher really stresses how important it is to mention any relevant training or certifications you've got. It shows you're all about staying current in a field that's always changing.
A likely follow-up could be, tell me about a time when you had to rely on your navigation skills to get through a tricky situation.
They want to hear about how you solve problems and put your knowledge to work in real-life scenarios.
You got it. And don't be shy about showing your excitement for technology. Things in the maritime world are constantly evolving, so if you can show a passion for learning new systems and staying ahead of the game, that's a huge plus.
All right, question 8 might seem basic, but it actually tells them a lot. How do you keep the ship's deck clean and well-maintained?
It's way more than just sweeping and mopping. This question is about your attention to detail, how hard you work, and how much you care about safety.
RoleCatcher suggests showing them you really understand how to keep the deck in good shape and that you can spot potential problems before they become big headaches.
A possible follow-up could be, what would you do if you noticed a trip hazard on deck? They want to know you're proactive about safety and you take responsibility for your work area.
And this ties back to what the career guide says about moving up in your career. When you start as a deckhand, you'll likely be doing a lot of deck maintenance. So doing it well shows you're ready for bigger things.
Exactly. It's all about proving you're a valuable part of the crew, no matter what they ask you to do.
Okay, question 9. How do you manage your time when you're working on a ship?
Time is precious on a ship. Every minute counts. They want to see you can prioritize, stay organized, and adapt when things change, which they will.
RoleCatcher recommends talking about specific ways you manage your time, like making schedules, setting realistic goals, and using time management techniques.
They might ask, tell me about a time you had to switch up your schedule because something came up. How did you handle that?
Once again, be specific. Tell them about a real situation that shows you can be flexible and handle those unexpected moments.
And remember, managing time on the ship isn't just about getting your own work done. It's about working as a team to keep everything running smoothly.
All right, time to wrap up this first batch of questions with number 10. Tell me about your experience with handling cargo on a ship.
This is your moment to show off what you know about how to handle cargo safely and efficiently, using the right procedures and working as a team.
RoleCatcher says you should describe the kinds of cargo you've dealt with, the loading and unloading processes, and what you did to make sure the cargo was secure and transported the right way.
A follow-up could be, tell me about a time you had to fix a problem with cargo handling.
This is a perfect opportunity to show off how you solve problems and pay attention to the little things.
You bet. It also connects back to the career guide's emphasis on safety. If cargo isn't handled right, things can get dangerous. Showing that you're all about following those safety rules is super important.
Couldn't agree more. Now, before we hit the next round of questions, I think it's a good time to look at some more career insights from the RoleCatcher Career Guide.
Totally. There's a bunch of useful info in there that can help you get ready for the interview and see where a Matrose career could take you.
Exactly.
The career guide actually maps out the different stages of a Matrose career. It starts with entry-level deckhand and goes all the way up to, potentially, becoming a master. It's pretty cool to see what you can achieve.
It definitely shows this isn't just some job. It's a whole career path with room to grow. And it really lays out the skills you'll need to move up, from practical seamanship stuff to leadership and management.
And don't forget those certifications we talked about. The knowledge and learning section in the guide lists some specific ones like first aid, boating safety, and navigation and seamanship. Having those can really boost your chances of getting hired.
It's like sending a signal to employers that you're serious about this career and you're willing to put in the work to learn and improve.
Absolutely. So are we ready to tackle some more interview questions?
Let's do it. Question 11 asks, what are some of the challenges you think you'll face as a matrose, and how would you approach them?
This is a good one. It gives you a chance to show that you've really thought about the role and the things that come with it. It's a tough job with long hours, physically demanding tasks, and you're out there in all kinds of weather.
Right, but it's not about complaining. It's about showing them you've got a positive, proactive attitude. RoleCatcher says to acknowledge those tough parts, but then focus on how you deal with them and solve problems.
Exactly. You could say something like, I know this job can be physically demanding, so I make sure I stay in good shape and get enough rest. I also know that working as a team and communicating clearly are super important for getting through challenges.
And they might follow that up with something like, can you give me an example of a specific challenge and how you'd handle it?
Think about things that could go wrong, like equipment breaking down, unexpected weather changes, or miscommunication. Be ready to explain how you'd figure things out, always keeping safety top of mind.
Okay, question 12 is, how do you stay motivated and focused during those long shifts or when you're doing the same tasks over and over?
This is where they want to see your work ethic and how resilient you are. They want to know that you can stay engaged and keep getting things done, even when it's not the most exciting stuff.
RoleCatcher says it's a good idea to highlight what really motivates you to do this job. Do you love being part of a team? Are you passionate about the maritime world? Find that thing that really drives you and let it shine through.
You could say, I find the work itself rewarding, I like the challenges and the variety, and I'm motivated by the opportunity to learn and grow. To stay focused on those repetitive tasks, I break them down into smaller goals and remind myself why they're important.
A good follow-up they might ask is, tell me about a time you had to stay focused on a task that was really long or kind of boring. What did you do to get through it?
Have a specific story ready that shows how you stay positive and productive even when things aren't easy or super exciting.
Question 13 focuses on your professional development. How do you stay up to date on changes in maritime regulations and safety procedures?
This is about showing them you're committed to constantly learning and that you understand how the industry is always evolving.
RoleCatcher says to mention specific industry publications, organizations, training courses, or workshops that you use to stay informed.
For instance, you could mention the Nautical Institute's Seaways magazine or the International Maritime Organization, IMO.
A follow-up they could ask is, can you give me an example of a recent regulatory change and how it affects your work?
Be prepared to talk about a specific change, demonstrating your understanding of industry trends and how they impact safety and operations.
Now, question 14 gets back to the technical side. Tell me about your experience with using and maintaining deck machinery and equipment.
Here's another chance to showcase your hands-on experience and how well you know the tools you'll be using.
Be specific about the types of machinery you've worked with, like winches, cranes, and mooring equipment. Emphasize how well you can do maintenance and how you stick to safety protocols.
A good follow-up might be, can you tell me about a time you had to figure out what was wrong with a piece of deck machinery? What did you do?
They're looking to see how you solve problems. Walk them through the steps you took to figure out the problem, find solutions, and make the repair safely.
Question 15 shifts gears to the team environment. How do you contribute to a positive and collaborative team environment on board a ship?
This is about your people skills and your ability to work well as part of a crew. Talk about your communication skills, your willingness to collaborate, and how you respect your fellow crewmates.
You could say something like, I think clear communication, mutual respect, and a shared sense of purpose are really important. I listen carefully, value everyone's input, and communicate openly and honestly. I'm always happy to help others and create a supportive atmosphere.
The interviewer might ask, tell me about a situation where you worked as a team to overcome a challenge. What did you do, and how did you contribute?
Have a specific example ready that highlights your teamwork, communication, and problem-solving skills.
Now, let's switch gears a bit and talk about RoleCatcher's AI-powered tools. These can be super helpful throughout your whole job search, not just for interview prep.
Oh, absolutely. They have AI that can help you tailor your resume and cover letter to specific jobs. It analyzes job descriptions, picks out those keywords and skills that are important, and helps you create an application that's really targeted.
And we can't forget about the AI feedback you get on your interview answers. It goes way beyond generic advice and gives you insights and suggestions that are specifically tailored to the job you're interviewing for.
It's like having a personalized interview coach right there in your pocket, helping you polish your answers and present yourself in the best way possible.
Exactly. Okay, back to the questions. Number 16 is a classic. Why are you interested in working as a Matrose, specifically with our company?
This is your chance to show that you've done your homework and you're genuinely interested in the company, not just any Matrose job.
Pick out things about their values, their mission, or specific projects they're doing that align with what you want to achieve in your career. Maybe they're all about sustainability, maybe they invest a lot in training their employees, or maybe they operate a specific type of vessel that you find interesting.
A follow-up they might throw at you is, what do you know about our company's fleet and the types of vessels we operate?
Be prepared to show off what you know about their operations and what specifically appeals to you about them.
Question 17 asks about stress management. How do you handle stress and pressure in a work environment that's demanding?
It's about showing them that you can bounce back from setbacks and handle the challenges of a high-pressure role.
Acknowledge that the job can be tough, but highlight the ways you cope with stress. Do you focus on communicating clearly? Do you break down tasks into smaller chunks? Do you take short breaks? Do you prioritize a healthy work-life balance?
A follow-up they might ask is, tell me about a specific time you had to manage stress effectively. What did you do?
Have a real-life example ready that shows how you stay calm under pressure, make good decisions, and keep it professional.
Okay, question 18 is another behavioral question. Can you describe a time you had to make a tough decision on board a ship? What factors did you consider, and what happened?
They want to get a sense of how you make decisions. Choose a situation that highlights your ability to think critically, gather information, weigh different options, and ultimately make a good judgment call.
For example, you could talk about a time you had to change course because of unexpected weather. Explain how you gathered information, talked to the captain and crew, weighed the risks and benefits, and made a final decision.
They might follow up with, looking back, would you have made the same decision? If not, what would you have done differently?
Be open to talking about the outcome, acknowledging what you learned, and showing that you're willing to grow from your experiences.
Question 19 asks about your ambitions. What are your long-term career goals in the maritime industry?
This is about showing them you're dedicated to this field and that you have a vision for your future.
Express your genuine interest in the maritime world and your desire to keep learning, growing, and moving forward. Talk about specific areas or career paths that you'd like to pursue.
They might ask, what specific steps are you taking to reach those goals?
Be ready to talk about your professional development plans, highlighting certifications, courses, or networking opportunities that you're pursuing.
All right, we've reached the last question in this set. Do you have any questions for us?
This is your opportunity to show that you're engaged and want to learn more about the company, the role, and the industry as a whole.
Come prepared with some thoughtful questions, focusing on company culture, team dynamics, opportunities for professional development, or the company's plans for the future.
You could ask about how they handle safety training, the team dynamic on board a ship, or their plans for growth and expansion.
Asking smart questions leaves a good impression and shows them you're serious about this opportunity.
Now, I think it's a good time to take another look at those career insights from the RoleCatcher Career Guide.
Perfect timing. It's important to keep in mind the reality of this career, both the good and the bad.
The Career Guide really does a good job of showing what it's actually like to work as a Matrose. It's not just about the technical stuff. You really got to be able to adapt, be tough, and work well with others.
You're right. You're out on the water, dealing with weather that can change in an instant, tight quarters, and you always got to be ready to solve problems. It's definitely not your typical sit at a desk kind of job.
Exactly. And the guide doesn't sugarcoat things either. It tells you straight up that the work is physically demanding. Long hours, lifting heavy stuff, and being exposed to the elements, it's all part of the deal.
But there's also that potential for travel and adventure and a real sense of camaraderie with your crewmates. It's a lifestyle that not everyone can handle, but for some people, it's exactly what they're looking for.
For sure. And that's something you should definitely emphasize in your interview. Talk about what draws you to this kind of life, what excites you about the challenges, and how your own personality fits with the demands of the job.
That's great advice. Now, before we wrap things up, I wanted to circle back to something we touched on earlier, the growing role of AI in hiring. It's pretty fascinating, especially since we're using AI tools like RoleCatcher to get ready for these interviews.
It's kind of ironic, right? We're using AI to help us stand out in a world where AI is being used more and more to screen candidates.
You got it. But you know what? It actually makes having strong interview skills even more important. Even if a computer program looks at your resume first, those face-to-face interactions where you can really show your personality, your passion, and your unique experiences, that's what's going to make you memorable.
Absolutely. AI can help you polish your answers and highlight the skills that matter, but it's your genuine enthusiasm, how clearly you communicate, and how well you connect with the interviewer on a personal level that will make you a candidate they won't forget.
So it's not about trying to trick the AI. It's about using it to your advantage to improve your own natural abilities and present yourself in the best possible way.
And that's where RoleCatcher really comes in handy. It gives you those extra insights and guidance to help you navigate this new world of hiring.
Well said. We've covered a ton of ground today. We talked about what a Matrose does, broke down those tough interview questions, looked at some career insights from RoleCatcher, and even thought about how AI is changing the way people get hired.
It's been a pretty thorough deep dive, designed to get you ready for that Matrose interview.
Remember, the key is to be prepared. Go back over those sample questions, practice your answers, and spend some time getting to know the RoleCatcher platform. It's a great resource that can help you not just with this interview, but throughout your entire career.
And most importantly, go into that interview with confidence, enthusiasm, and a real passion for the maritime world.
Let that passion shine through and you'll definitely make a great impression. Good luck with your interview. We know you're going to do great.
Keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.